All right, Kathy is renting a car from Company A. Company A charges $80 to join plus $15 per day. How much will Kathy pay in 3 weeks? So we have $80 to join. That's going to be our Y-intercept because that's the initial value. And then we have the $15 per day. That's the repeating value, so that's our slope. So our equation is Y equals 15x plus 80. Now, they want us to calculate 3 weeks, but we can't plug weeks into a day problem. So make sure you read your units carefully. So we're going to convert those weeks into days. So we're going to multiply it by 7 and get 21 days. So we're going to plug 21 in. So we get 15 times 21 plus 80. Now, some of the problems are going to be calculator inactive, so we're going to multiply this by hand. So we have 5 times 1 is 5, and then 1 times 1 is 1. Placeholder, and then we have 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So we get 315. However, do not forget, very important, to add the 80 to it. So the total is going to be $395 is our final total for Kathy. All right, Sarah is renting a car that has a fee of $90. So that fee is going to represent our Y-intercept. She is charged $19.99 per day. So that's going to be our slope. That's the repeating value. If the car rental is based off a linear model and the Y-intercept is decreased by $7 because she has a coupon, what is the new value of the Y-intercept? Now, this is not a hard problem. The only thing that you're going to have to do is find the value of the Y-intercept. You don't need to plug anything in. You just have to make sure you identify the Y-intercept, which we did was 90. We're going to subtract that coupon. So her new total is $83. So that's my new Y-intercept. All right, the next one says, what is the slope and the Y-intercept of the graph? So remember, we have Y equals mx plus b. My m is going to represent my slope, and my b is going to represent 3.8. And that's my Y-intercept, and my slope is 1.7. Debbie had bought a car for $33,500. Each year, the car loses a value by 1,000. So my initial value is going to be $33,500. And then my repeating value is the fact that the car loses value by 1,000. That's going to be my slope. Now, they want us to write the equation of the line. Now, because our slope is losing value, it's going to be negative 1,000x plus 33,500. So write the equation of the graph line below. So in order to write the graph line below, we have to be able to identify two things. We have to identify our slope and our Y-intercept. So I'm going to start with our Y-intercept is 5, and then to find the slope, we're going to have to find another point. Again, it could be any point. It could be any of those in that situation. The only thing that you've got to remember is if you pick a point that needs to be simplified, please make sure you do so. So we're going to go down 2, so that's going to be negative 2, and then right 1, so that's positive 1. So my slope in this problem is going to be negative 2 over 1, or just negative 2. So y equals negative 2x plus 5. So the graph below shows the amount of meals that can be distributed each hour at a shelter to be distributed. It says, what is the best explanation of the slope? So we're asking for the slope. So remember, slope is the change in y over my change in x. So we're looking at the labels on the actual graph to figure this out. So the y value is the total meals packed, and then my x value is going to be my time in hours. So if I write this out, this is going to be the total meals packed, and the total meals packed is going to be compared to my x value, and my x value is going to be the total meals packed per hour. All right, number 7. This one says, what is the y-intercept? So we're looking for the the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, remember we're going to plug in 0 for y. So this is going to be negative 3x plus 5, and where x is, we're going to put in 0, equals 15. Now 5 times 0, that's going to go away. So we have negative 3x equals 15, and then we're going to divide by negative 3. So x is going to equal -5. Now remember, when you're picking your points, you're going to make sure that your value's in the right spot. So -5 needs to be in the x spot, which is A. All right, number 8, it says, what is the y-intercept? So to find the y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x. All right, so we have 3 times 0 minus y equals 6. That's going to go away. We have -y equals 6. Now remember, that's a -1 in front. So we're going to divide by -1, and y equals -6. And for this one, the -6 is the y value, so it's got to go in the y spot. So the answer is D. All right, for number 9, it says, Shell's cell phone plan gives her unlimited minutes for a base price of $23.50. So my base price is going to be my y-intercept, and then she gets charged 10 cents per text message for each text message. So that's going to be my repeating value, which is my slope. Now, they don't use x and y. They're using t as x and c as y. So if we write this out, we have c equals 0.10 times t plus my initial value, my y-intercept of 23.50, making my correct answer C. All right, so for number 10, it says, for working 5 hours, Devin earns $60. For working 7 hours, he earns $84. What's the slope? So to find the slope, we're going to be looking for the change in y over the change in x, the rate of change, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to make a table here, and we have 5 hours for $60 and 7 hours for $84. So this is going to be 84 minus 60 divided by 7 minus 5, which is going to be 16 divided by 2, and that gives me 8. Now, part B asked me to interpret the slope. So remember, we're doing y over x. So y is my dollars and x is my hours. So this is going to be dollars per hour. So he makes $8 per hour. All right, number 11 says, which of the following is correct from the graph? So they're basically asking to identify which one is correct. So I always like to start with the y-intercept. So we're looking for a y-intercept at -4. Now, when I look at A has a y-intercept at -3. So that's not going to work. And if you notice, some of these have different scales. So this one's going by 2. So since it's halfway, it's going to be at -3. So that's not right. B has a y-intercept at -4. So that's a potential. C has a y-intercept at -2. So that's not going to work. And then D has a y-intercept at -3, so that's not going to work. All right, and I can check this, and I can see that I am going down 4 and right 1 to give me a y-intercept a slope of -4. All right, so for number 12, it says the graph below represents Sheila's pay for her cell phone service, a monthly fee plus the charge for each minute she uses her phone. So they want to know the cost per minute. So the fact that they're talking about cost per minute, cost is my y, minutes is my x. So y over x is going to represent my slope. All right, number 13, the graph below shows the salesperson's earnings, which are based off the amount of sales. So they want to know the meaning of the slope. So again, slope is going to be your change in y over your change in x. So my y value is earnings. That's my y. My x value is sales, which we're going to write as earnings per sales. And of course, the only other thing I would make sure to pay attention to is if it were to describe it further, earnings is in dollars and then sales is in thousands of dollars. So that might make a big difference in the way that they word it. Number 14, what is the equation of the graph line? So what is the y-intercept and what is the slope? So this is the horizontal line, which is going to be HOI. All right, so with HOI, we always know we have a y equals equation, and it's crossing the y-axis at 4. My slope is the middle value of the acronym, so that's going to be 0 slope. And then my y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and that also crosses at 4. To lease a car, you must pay a flat rate of $1,000 plus $200 per month. So when I'm looking at this, I have a flat rate. That's going to be my y-intercept. And then I have a $200 per month, which is going to be my slope. Write the linear equation for the total cost y of leasing the car X months. And they ask us for 3 years. Now, this is in months, so we got to make sure that we convert this. So 3 years has 12 months per year. So that's going to be 36 months. So I have y equals 200x plus $1,000. So when I plug this in, I get y equals 2,000 times 36 plus $1,000. Excuse me, 200 times 36 plus 1,000. So when I multiply this out, I can see that I've already got these two zeros here, so I'm going to go ahead and bring those down as placeholders so we don't have to worry about multiplying the zeros out. So then we have 6 times 2. That's going to give me 12. And then I'm going to do my placeholder again. And then 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. So this is going to be 7,200. Do not forget that that 7,200, we got to add that y-intercept to it, which is going to give me 8,200 as my final answer. All right, number 16, it says Farmville Middle School wants to make $5,250 from yearbooks. They have printed yearbooks for X, which cost $75. So printed yearbooks is X for $75. Digital yearbooks are going to be Y, and they're going to be $35. So they gave us this standard form equation, and we can see that right here, these are my printed yearbooks, and these are my digital yearbooks. So find the X and Y intercept. So I'm going to find my X intercept. I'm going to plug in 0 for Y. So 75X plus 35Y equals 5,250. And right here where the Y is, I'm going to plug in 0. And when I plug in 0, that's going to get rid of that Y value. So I have 75 equals 5,250. And divide by 75. Now I'm going to pull up the calculator. And when I divide that, we get 70. All right, so we have X equals 70. Then they want us to find the y-intercept. So for the y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for X. So this is going to be 75 times 0 plus 35y. And that equals 5,250. Then we're going to do 35y equals 5,250 and divide by 35. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to change this to 35 and I get 150. So this one has y equals 150. So they want us to interpret what the X and Y intercept mean. So if I interpret that 70 is going to represent the printed yearbooks, but the condition is that they don't sell any digital yearbooks. So the Farmville Middle School will make $5,250 if they sell 70 printed yearbooks, but the condition is and no digital yearbooks. And the opposite is going to be for the digital. So again, Farmville Middle School will make 5,250, and they will do that if they sell 150 digital yearbooks and they do not make it or sell any printed. All right, so for the next one, it says the function depicted in the graph models the area of a square. Based on the graph, what are the independent and dependent qualities? So remember, X is your independent, that's your input value. So independent input, that's X. Y is your dependent, that's your output. And remember, I gave you that phrase that y depends on x. So if you remember, y depends on x, dependent, depends, that kind of situation. So we're going to look at the actual graph. So my x is going to be labeled on the x-axis. So x represents the length of the side, so that's going to be my independent. And then my y is going to be on my y-axis, so therefore my y is going to be, or my dependent, the area of the square. Number 18, what is the equation of the graph line? What is the y-intercept? What's the slope? So we have a vertical line this time. And because we have a vertical line, we have the x equals equation. So x equals 3 because it crosses at 3 on the x-axis. So then we have a y-intercept. Well, the graph doesn't cross the y-axis at all, so that's going to be none. And then my slope, that's what the U stands for. It stands for undefined. All right, number 19, what are the x and y-intercepts of the graph? So the first thing that I'm going to look at is the easiest one. This is in slope-intercept form. So this is my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 8. So my y-intercept for this one, both of these have 8, so we're going to get rid of A and D. Now to find my x-intercept, we're going to plug in 0, just like we would if it was in standard form. So 0 is going to equal 8 minus 2x. And we're going to solve this. So we're going to subtract 8. So negative 2x equals negative 8. And we're going to divide by negative 2. So x equals positive 4, which that is correct for letter B. Number 20, find the x and y-intercept. So we're going to find the x-intercept by plugging in 0 for y. So we have negative 5x plus 2 times 0. And that's going to equal 20. We're going to get rid of the 2 times 0, so negative 5x equals 20. And we're going to divide by negative 5. And x equals negative 4. Now, if we look at our options, none of these actually work, so A is the correct answer. And of course, you could do the same thing for the y-intercept. So for my y-intercept, if I plug in 0 for x, plus 2 times y equals 20. So 2y equals 20, which we divide 20 by 2, that does equal 10. All right, for number 21, it says Target sells notebooks. So we have notebooks for $5.50 and we have markers for $2.75. They then tell us that they want us to write a standard form equation. So the notebooks is N and the markers are M, and they want us to have a total of $22. All right, so we have $5.50 for the notebooks plus $2.75 for the markers, and we need a total of $22. So if I look at A, they don't have any variables. These are kind of the C and the D got moved down, but if we look at C, this is C right here. This one has the variables mixed up, so that's not going to work. B does have the correct variables, so B is the correct answer. All right, for 22, it says, what are the x and y-intercepts? So again, y-intercept, my y-intercept is going to be 25. So if I look at the y-axis, so this one has positive 25 for A and B, so C and D are gone. And then we're going to plug in 0 for my x-intercept. So x-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for y. So that's going to give me negative 5x plus 25. And I'm going to solve them. So I'm going to subtract 25. And I have negative 25 equals negative 5x. And I'm going to divide by negative 5. So x equals positive 5, which would give me A. All right, 23, it says, what is the y-intercept? So let me bring your attention. They are asking us to find just the y-intercept. of an equation of a line that passes through the point that is 4, 8 and perpendicular to this graph. So, great thing about this problem, it's already in slope-intercept form, so we don't need to solve it. So y equals -4, but they want the perpendicular slope. So remember, perpendicular means opposite and reciprocal, which means the opposite sign, and we're going to flip the fraction. All right, so we have -4, so we're going to do +4, and we're going to flip it and make it +1/4. Now, they want us to find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, we're going to need to use that point, 4, 8, and we're going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. Remember, this is your x, this is your y. So my y is 8. We're going to use our slope for perpendicular, so 1/4. And then x is going to be +4 plus b. Now, 1/4 times 4, so that's 1 times 4 is 4, divided by 4, that's going to give me 1. So 8 equals 1 plus b, and if I subtract 1, then b equals 7. Now, this is the answer. The problem asks us for the y-intercept. The whole equation would have been 1/4 x plus 7, but they asked us just for the y-intercept, which is what we found. All right, 24, it says, what is the y-intercept of the equation that passes through the point 4, 8? This one is going to be parallel, and we have a standard form equation. So we're going to have to solve for y here. So we're going to subtract 8x. So we subtracted 8x. That gives me 2y equals -8x plus 2. We're going to divide by 2, and you're going to need to simplify. So if we simplify, that's going to give me -8 divided by 2 is going to give me -4x. And then I have 2 divided by 2, which is going to give me +1. So my slope is -4. And the parallel slope is the same slope. So remember, parallel, same slope. So this is also going to be -4. So we need to find our y-intercept. And to find our y-intercept, we're going to plug in the point 4, 8. So once we plug in that point 4, 8, we're going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. So 8 is for y. We're going to use our parallel slope, which is -4, and my x is 4. So I have 8 equals -16 plus b. And then we're going to add 16 to finish solving it. All right, so b is going to equal, and then we have 8 plus 16 is going to give me 24. So this is my correct answer, but again, if I had to write the whole equation, y would equal -4x plus 24. All right, and just a few review problems. So it says, Drew bought a new video game. The table below shows the score after playing the game different number of times. They want us to find the rate of change for 3 and 5. So we're going to go here and find 3 and 5, and we're going to calculate this. So remember, rate of change is the change in y over the change in x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to be 11,821 minus 11,343 divided by 5 minus 3. All right, I'm going to split screen for a second so I can plug this in the calculator. All right, so we're going to do 11,821 minus 11,343, and then 5 minus 3, which is 2, and you get 239. And we're talking about scores and times played, so this will be points per game. All right. And for the last problem, so we have an equation here. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of our groups. So we're going to distribute. Make sure you distribute the -3. So we have -5p plus 6 equals 10p minus 15 plus 30 minus 18p. Now we're going to want to combine like terms here. So we have 10p and negative 18p, which is going to give me negative 8p. And then we have negative 15 and 30, which is going to be plus 15. So negative 5p plus 6, we're going to bring down. And then we're going to start moving stuff across the equal sign. So we need to move this negative 8p. We're going to move that over to the negative 5p. So we're going to add that. All right, so once we added that over, that gives me 3p plus 6 equals 15. Now we're going to move the 6 over to the 15 by subtraction. So we have 3p equals 9. And then we're going to divide by 3, and p equals 3.